Oh, baby, the preseason takes are flying fast and furious. Tough scene now that Greg Dulcich is no longer draftable, but we will press on because I have Ball Mania 4 drafts to complete. That is right. We are streaming all 150 of my Ball Mania 4 drafts this summer. Today marks number 119 and 120 as we march to 150 and winning $3 million on stream. It's Best Ball Breakfast. I'm Pete Overzet. Let's do it.
Oh, another Influencer 101 for the backward hats, bro. Rigged!
Zach Ertz with no Tyler Algier bringback? Yikes.
You reached around for correlation? That's a no-no. You ADP bros disgust me. How about you just live a little?
Handcuffing might actually be a way to get unique if the field's avoiding it.
The Wi-Fi at this resort is a disaster?
These fucking streamers don't have player takes. What if a piss boy draft is the room you need?
Oh!
All right, GMs all around. How are we doing? Look at all the GMs flowing fast and furious. J. Mike, Pete, one highlight from your weekend. It was my 10-year wedding anniversary. 10 years ago, I got married to Lauren, so we did some celebrating, went out for a very nice dinner on Saturday night. That was nice. On Thursday night, I was in Cleveland. I did meet up with the Fantasy Life crew. First time to Cleveland, interesting city, but had a fun time with them. And yeah, now we're back in the saddle. You know, we were going through some preseason news as we wrote the Fantasy Life newsletter for today, catching up on all of the panic in the streets. And now I'm excited to see where these guys are sliding in drafts because of being an overreaction season. Hope you guys all had a wonderful weekend. It's truly insane how close we are to being done with drafting season. You know, I've been, booking my shows and stuff and looking like, I think I only have 3 more randomizer shows left this year, which, by the way, if you guys didn't see for some reason, the Scott Hansen randomizer from last week, go check it out. Just an incredibly fun time. Scott is absolutely the best. Got some very good reviews on that show. So go check that out when you get a chance. Historical anomalies. I didn't go to the expo. I just did a one-night meetup with the Fantasy Life crew. When it's your 10-year wedding anniversary, you can't be, playing flag football with Denny at the expo. That's a recipe for your wife leaving you. So no, we didn't go to the expo. We just did a quick trip to Cleveland, although it looked like a fun time. Maybe next year I will get out there for the whole expo. Thank you, guys. It was a good time. Had the best cocktail that I think I've had maybe ever at this restaurant we went to. It was a Oaxacan old fashioned. So it's basically like a mezcal margarita meets an old fashioned. And at first I was like, I don't know if those two things go together that well, but holy shit, this cocktail was incredible. Let's see, where did I meet? Lauren and I met studying abroad in Granada, Spain, in 2007. Then we were married in 2013. 10 years later, we have a child and we have a best ball stream where we stream all 150 of our drafts. Those are the beautiful things that have come out of our marriage. Tom says, you won't believe the value on Trey Lance now. I did catch some of that. Everyone just, why do we feel the need to, pile on Trey Lance's grave? I was already on here waving the white flag on Trey Lance weeks ago. It was funny. I recently went and I was curious which rookies I was super heavy on in the big board, the NFL draft contest that I ended up maxing out. I had some fun picks in there, lots of Tajay Spears, lots of Tank Bigsby. And then I'm scrolling down and I see I have 11% Trey Lance in the big board. So, I believe we're at like 0%, maybe one draft we took Trey Lance in Best Ball Mania, but we learned our lesson. 11% of our rosters in the big board are dead. But yes, the Trey Lance dream has died. J Mike had fun at the FF Expo. That's great. We got Brandon out here maxing the Chihuahua. You know what I've realized lately? I'm going to make a run at maxing weekly winners. I've gotten obsessed with weekly winners. It's what I do in the private of my own home now when I'm drafting. I can't draft in Best Ball Mania. They all have to be on stream. I have gotten obsessed with weekly winners. So I'm going to see if I can make a run at maxing it Probably going to need to end up doing a lot of slow drafts to make that happen, but I am going to give it a shot. All right, let's do a little housekeeping here. We need a coffee pour, right? We need a coffee pour to get things going on this Monday morning. Let's do it. Everyone quiet. Let's make sure I'm not spilling. I'm also doing standing desk today. You know, I realize I've been not utilizing my standing desk as much. My back was starting to hurt a little bit more. So I think we're going to be doing a lot more standing and drafting down the stretch. There it is. Hopefully a sufficient coffee pour for all the coffee pour snobs and elitists out there. Let's see here. Ron Stewart has 26% Trey Lance in the big board, my most drafted QP. Pete Crimea River. Yeah. This is, you know, people make fun of me for being a smoothed out exposure bro, but every once in a while it keeps you in check. It keeps you in check from having 26% Trey Lance. Trey Lance to the Bucks. I'd take that. God damn it. I see Tyler's in peak form here to start out this Monday morning. Is there any other housekeeping we need to do? Oh, yeah. So today, you know, we did last week, we had the Best Ball finalist show, Best Ball Dateable finalist show. And over the course of Best Ball Breakfast, we've been having some of those submissions come on and talk about their work. Today, we're going to have JonBoyBeats. You guys know him from the Underdog streets. He's part of the Badge Brigade over there with the Badge Bros. He's going to come on and talk about a tool he's been working on that's kind of a value over replacement tool, of a way to think about positional scarcity and the best value while you're drafting. So he'll come on at the intermission. I think he might even hang and draft with me for the second draft. So we are going to have 2 drafts as usual here on Best Ball Breakfast. I'm still trying to figure out exactly what my schedule is going to be like for streaming down the stretch. Obviously going to continue with these Best Ball Breakfasts, but I also want to try to get in a marathon stream if I can. I was inspired by Patty Millions with his marathon stream. I think it would be fun to rip off like 7, 8 of these in a row on one of these Mondays. So we'll see if we can do that. I'm going to try to triangulate everything right, so I get all my streams in right before the contest close. That is how it is going to work. I did just register for a Best Ball Mania draft. I tipped you guys off in the Discord. A couple spots left if you guys want to draft in Best Ball Mania with me today. Let's get our overlays going, and then we'll be off to the races. Boom. There's me. There's a draft board. There is an overlay. And now what do we need? A banner? What do we need? Number 119. Draft number 119. Come on down. You guys will be shocked to know that I am drafting from the 1-9. The 1-9. God bless. God bless the RNG gods for another 1-9. The dead zone of drafting. And it's all I'm able to get these days. It's just my new lot in life. It is what it is. I'm no longer an influencer. No more 101s. I just draft from the back of the board. Maybe we'll start to get some combos. Should we try to get some fun combos that we haven't gotten? Maybe I will open up the Fantasy Life Best Ball Hub too, so I can review some of these in real time. 109 till death. Till death do us part. 109 till death do part us from all of our Best Ball Mania funds. This is what I'm telling myself. Jeremy says, what if the 109 to 111 are exactly what you need to ship BBM4? In that case, I will be very rich in Skalansky bucks. Let me get my exposures up here. All right. Do I see any? Who do we got in here? What friends and family? We got TTP. We got Sam Duel. We got Copper Prices. We got Jake Twitch. Oh, we got Ryan Hodge. We're on the clock here. Let's see. I kind of feel like just doing I just kind of feel like getting a little frisky with a 0RB build. Is that all right? Peter, you can't dictate your strategy ahead of time. I'm not committing to 0RB, but I'd like to give myself the chance to do 0RB if I'd like. Howdy, Nolan. Yeah, the reason I passed on Bijan is not because I wanted to start with a couple of wide receivers. It was because Bijan Robinson is the RB3 on the Falcons. Are we actually going to start to get a discount? Has Bijan been sliding in people's drafts because of that depth chart? Yeah. And I believe is third round Jonathan Taylor, is that done? Now that we got the report, he's going to be returning to camp soon. Let's see. Can we see, is everything here? Yeah, the screen's looking pretty good. Just checking my sizing here. Fade my takes. Pete, can you confirm the rumors that you're a baseball thought leader now? Yes, I believe I have 100% advance rate in the dinger. Did I slide to number 2? I haven't checked it yet. Some of you guys were tagging me in some screenshots. I believe I advanced, but I don't think I held on to that pole position. But yes, we are advancing in the dinger, 100% advance rate, single bullet Pete. We will take this one down. I think I retweeted it too. I think Dark Sheep put that one on the board. Are we taking Davante Adams here? Are we worried about Davante Adams? I don't know. I should kind of look. This is where I wanted to see if I had I don't think I have a lot of AJ Brown, Davante Adams. Feels like two grown-ass men. Yeah, I see all of you guys getting Jonathan Taylor on DK because they put the little out button next to it. Is that not the greatest social experiment of our time? Can we ask Underdog to arbitrarily put little red letters next to these players? Can we start putting a little red O next to Jackson Smith and Jigba? The O stands for overdrafted, and then maybe I can get him in the 6th round. I think it's unfair that you guys get to get all of these nice values on DraftKings because of a single little red letter. I want a red letter on Underdog, so I get to get some of these guys. Let me check the Best Ball Hub and see how many AJ Brown and Davante Adams starts I've done. Anything else cooking in here? Bijan at the 1-2 turn to Hodge. He goes, Chubb, Bijan. That's a high T start right there. We got a bunch of people pissing it yellow here. We got Ramondre in the 2nd round. We don't see that normally. We do get Jonathan Taylor back in the late 2nd here. Hodge is annoyed he had to take Bijan there. Legit might be the first time I've clicked his name in 40 to 50 drafts. Wow. That's a big stand. That's a big stand right there. Dark Sheep checking in on my dinger team. I had 11,171 points, and he almost caught me with 1,154. Well, have fun staying poor, Dark Sheep. You come at my team, you best not miss. You best not miss. All right. What was I doing? Oh, yeah. I was looking at how many times I've started with AJ Brown and Davante Adams. And the answer is dun, 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 dun. Come on. Come on. 0 times. So this is my first AJ Brown and Davante Adams. Holy cow. What do we got going on from the one hole? B-Shack. Is B-Shack on auto draft? Patrick Mahomes and Jalen Hurts. Justin Jefferson, Patrick Mahomes, Jalen Hurts. This is what happens. I'm out here living in the 1-9 to 111 draft range. I bought land. I'm done renting. I bought land, and I'm now just establishing a settlement at the back end of the draft board. Meanwhile, we got B-Shack up here, literally just puts up a shack for a 101. And how does he reward the RNG gods for this influencer fortune? By taking Patrick Mahomes and Jalen Hurts with his team. It's unfair. There should be some kind of test. You know, when you get your driver's license, you got to go do a driver's test. If you are going to get the 101, there should be some kind of test that you don't ruin it. It's unfair to the rest of us. It's unfair. I feel like pissing yellow today, guys. I just do. I'm done scooping up all this running back value. I'm done. I just want wide receivers. Star Kindler Pete, is the Fantasy Life Best Ball Hub glitching for you as well? It doesn't show tight ends. Perhaps my CSV is too big. You know what they say about guys with big CSVs, Star Kindler, that their wives and girlfriends are going to leave them. No, it's not glitching for me. I see my tight ends. I see mine. We can go over here in a second after I make this pick. All right, we are on the clock here. I'm trying to think. I could definitely... We got 8% Drake London, 7% Mike Williams, DJ Moore. Do we have any correlation stuff we want to mess with here? Quarterback stuff. I will say, DJ Moore, you guys, you can't overreact to preseason stuff, but you are allowed to click DJ Moore 5 picks ahead of ADP. Starting to get a little excited about DJ Moore. Maybe Justin Fields will come back to us. Probably not, but we can try. Joe, I don't know if you heard, but I said I wanted to draft wide receivers this morning, buddy. We start off AJ Brown, Davante Adams, Deebo Samuel, and DJ Moore. It is, all jokes aside about the DJ Moore thing, one of the pieces I looked at because of using the Best Ball Hub was looking at some of the combinations. And, I was looking at my Garrett Wilson teams, and all my Garrett Wilson teams had 100% exposure to at least one of these guys, Jahmyr Gibbs, Keenan Allen, and Jerry Jeudy. And the only reason that was happening is because their ADPs were directly correlated. I've been picking at the back end of round 1, so I get a lot of Garrett Wilson. Then it comes back around in the 3rd and 4th round. Deebo's off the board, so I'm taking a lot of Keenan, taking a lot of Jeudy, and a lot of Jahmyr Gibbs there at the 3-4 turn. So now my entire Garrett Wilson portfolio, say Garrett Wilson smashes, if those 3 players struggle, it could carry down my entire portfolio of Garrett Wilson. And so these are the kind of stuff I'm starting to think through, with my thesis being the entire tier, like after Deebo Samuel comes off the board. I still maintain that tier of wide receivers from the early 4th to basically like the mid 7th is extremely flat. And so I am going to be pushing myself outside of my comfort zone of like, hey, guys like DJ Moore, guys like Brandon Ayuk, they are more correlated at the 4 or 5 turn based on their ADPs. I want to start mixing and matching some of those late picks that I keep getting with guys on the other side of the board who are all a part of the same tier. So that's how, those are going to be some conscious decisions and tilting that I'm going to be doing as far as with my exposures here down the home stretch. I assume you're Deebo over Keenan. Yeah, I like both of them, but I do take, let's check my exposures here. I'm pretty sure I have more Deebo than Keenan. Deebo, I am at 14%. Oh, I actually have more Keenan, probably because he's just been slightly cheaper. But yeah, straight up, I do prefer Deebo over Keenan. So our start here, AJ Brown, Davante Adams, Deebo Samuel, and DJ Moore. Justin Fields. Not only does Justin Fields not fall to me in the 5th, he goes here at pick 43. Yeah, don't tell Kitchen this. He'll say it's living a little. I'll say it's balancing my combinatorial ownership. Have Kitchen say that phrase 3 times fast. Now, this is a spicy take. Moore should be going ahead of Keenan, Deebo, and Jeudy. I don't know if I can sign off on that. Come on, Sam. Just once let me get JSN at the back end of the 5th round. Just once. Can I please just once? Let's see here. You guys going to let me get Hawkinson at 5'9"? I'll do Hawkinson at 5'9". Come on, OMG. Let me get Hawkinson. Okay. Thank you. I'll take Hawkinson. Hawkinson at 5'9" here. A few picks past ADP. The team so far, AJ Brown, Davante Adams, Deebo Samuel, and DJ Moore. Let's see. Tyler, is the like button sticky again? Pete, can you wipe it off? Yeah, let me wipe it off. 1 second here. It should be good now. You should be good. If I need to, I can turn it off and turn it back on again. Try the like button now. I know it wasn't working before. We're getting close to these 15K subs. We're getting close. Can we please get there? You've heard me. I'm exhausted with this giveaway. I'm exhausted with this promo. We're at 14,770 subs. All right. 230 more subs away. 230. Can we do it? Then we can give away $1,500. If you guys don't know what I'm referencing, when we hit 15K subs on the channel, we're giving away $500 to 3 lucky viewers. And how you get entered is every time a draft stream is in the books, you can leave a comment. You can leave as many comments on those individual draft streams as you'd like. If you want to max enter it, we're well over 70 draft streams, and I have them all in a playlist down below. So hit the like, hit the subscribe. Let me get to 15K, and then we can move on with our lives. Should I take a running back? I've been saying I want more Kenneth Walker. This seems like the time to take Kenneth Walker. This seems like the time to take Kenneth Walker. I'm allowed to take a running back in the 6th. I'm allowed to take Kenneth Walker at 6'4". It's like the I think you should leave sketch. He can do that. No, he's allowed to do that. He can hit. Yes, he said 0 RB, but he's allowed to take Kenneth Walker at 6'4". He can do that. I know some of you think I can't do that, but I can do that. Oh, look at this. Ben just teeing me up for the promos. What does Underdog give you if we use your promo code? I'll tell you what they'll give you. They'll give you up to $100 deposit match. You use promo code Pete. You put $100 in your Underdog account, and they will match it. Hey, what if you say, Pete, I don't have $100. I only got $5. Guess what? They'll match that too. But if you want to soak up that sweet, sweet EV, you're going to want to put $100 in, and they'll put $100 in your account. That's $200. And I'm no mathematician. Blah, blah, blah. I'm no mathematician. We're going to have to do that ad read again. This is why they have Josh Norris do those. I'm no mathematician, but that's 8 Best Ball Mania 4 entries. That's 8 shots at chasing Karain and becoming a best ball millionaire. Hit me up, Underdog. I'm ready for the TV. I'm ready to do these promos on TV. There it is, Phil. Promo code Pete. Hammer it. Hammer it. I took some notes. I did take some notes from Scott Hansen. I learned a lot. He coached me up. I'm feeling ready to become a professional broadcaster. Wow, we got Ross here. Longtime audio listener, first-time stream watcher. Scott Hansen did tell me I need to get a little more gravelly with my voice because it's naturally nasally. I sound like a 13-year-old prepubescent boy. I get it. I have chronic congestion issues. But if Scott Hansen tells me I need to get more guttural with my voice, I'm willing to do it. Our team right now, through 6 rounds of commercial-free drafting, A.J. Brown, Davante Adams, Deebo Samuel, DJ Moore, then T.J. Hawkinson and Kenneth Walker. Aren't you worried, Pete? I am. I'm always worried. I'm always worried. All right, we're about to pick at 7-9 here. Look at all these running backs. Look at all these running backs just here for the taking. Here for the taking. Are you going to make me take Miles Sanders? I'll do it. He can do it. He can boost up his 1.8% Miles Sanders. All right. I don't always take Miles Sanders, but when I do, it's at pick 81. It's at pick 81. Ow! Thank you, Miles Sanders. Thank you for helping me balance out my irresponsible Chuba Hubbard exposure. That was another guy I had like 25% of in the big board. Chuba. Apparently I just Chuba, click, 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 Chuba. Miles Sanders were buried. This is why I get Miles Sanders in these rooms. Because none of you guys want to take him. I don't want to take him either. I had 1.8%. But what if he's this year's Josh Jacobs, Pete? He's no longer a dead zone back if he falls to pick 81. What'd you want me to take? Who'd you want me to take? I guess I could have taken Treylon Burks. That's what a real piss boy would have done. Instead, he's gone. No more Treylon Burks for me. But boy, I have a ton of Burks. What am I at Burks? 18%. I still love Burks. Do we go? Are we going to do a wide receiver here? Sky Moore goes. Or do we take a running back? Do I just take all the gross running backs that none of you want? I'm certainly not taking James Conner. Week 17 correlation with James Conner doesn't exist, even if you have A.J. Brown, because there's no way James Conner is a thing in Week 17. We could do David Montgomery, though. David Montgomery, 10 picks past ADP. I'm doing it. This is why you hammer wide receiver early, so you can scoop up Kenneth Walker, 10 picks past ADP. Miles Sanders, 16 picks past ADP. David Montgomery, 10 picks past ADP. There you go. All the dead zone running backs. I need more coffee. You could have gotten DeMont and James Cook. I was taking James Cook before it was cool to take James Cook. I was doing it before it was cool. Now all the cool kids want to take James Cook. I saw James Cook in one of the FFPC main event drafts. Someone shared a board with me. I think he went in the 4th round of one of those drafts. It was either the 4th. I think it was the 4 or 5 turn. Someone took James Cook. It's getting steamy out there on James Cook. I am a wild man. I think, man, this a lot of the coffee, the standing up, the Scott Hansen promos. Look at this. We got my old pal, Brian Donnelly. My old improv pal, Brian Donnelly in the chat. Uh-oh. I'm at a car dealership waiting on Melody's car. Nice to see you. Nice to see you too, Brian. Nice to see you too. Wow. Let's get soupy. Likes my team. It's nice. That's nice. That's the kind of testimonial you want. How did you feel about your team today? Well, it was fine. Scooped up some value, but I did get the ringing endorsement from YouTube username Let's Get Soupy. Let's Get Soupy likes my team. I need more coffee. How many cups of coffee have you had? I honestly don't think I've had that many. I'm just feeling jacked up, guys. I'm just a football guy. I do need to do the Scott Hansen thing. So one thing that was incredible for that show, and I think Sam Hoppin tweeted out some screen grabs of this. He just grabbed a football before we even went on the air. You know, we're getting set up. He's like, hey, how's my, video set up there? And he just grabs a football. I didn't ask questions, and then just proceeded to use it as a true football guy prop for the entire show. Palming it, walking around with it. I mean, that's how you know you're a football guy. Let's get another coffee pour. Wow. You guys are getting 2 early coffee pours today. You guys are so blessed. You don't know how good you have it. How did Kyle Pitts fall to 74? Kyle Pitts out here falling to pick 74? No Ducks music. Come on, get with the program. We do the Ducks in the second hour. The Ducks are for the second draft, except on Wednesdays. They're for the first draft because RotoViz didn't want the Ducks music behind their audio. It was a whole thing. I wrote about it in my newsletter, the P.O. Box. All right. What are we doing here? We could take Rashaad Penny. I take Rashaad Penny a ton. I was going to consider Jamison Williams. He goes. I think we start playing the hits. I think we play the hits with a little Rashaad Penny here. We already have A.J. Brown. Pete, aren't you worried that Boston Scott is going to score 2 touchdowns against the Giants and make Rashaad Penny a busted pick? Yes, I'm terrified. Wow, thank you, Brian. Yeah, speaking of the P.O. Box, I did this past week. I covered the 5 finalists for the Best Ball Data Bowl. We're going to be announcing the winner tomorrow, I believe. It's a free newsletter. Drop it in your inbox every single Friday. Link down below, the P.O. Box. Brian, you becoming a Tank Bigsby Slappy in overdrafting him by 3 rounds is very on brand. All right. We're going to have to take some wide receivers eventually. Eventually, we're going to have to take some wide receivers. This probably feels like we could do a quarterback pick here. Feels like we could do a quarterback pick. Yeah, let's grab Kirk Cousins to stack up with Hawk. All right, so the team right now through 10 rounds, we got Kirk Cousins at quarterback. Running backs, Kenneth Walker, Miles Sanders, David Montgomery, Rashaad Penny. Please acknowledge the value on those running backs. I've never selected a running back ahead of ADP. Pat Kerrane says he's never selected a running back. I'm not going to lie to you guys, but I've never selected a running back ahead of ADP. Wide receivers, A.J. Brown, Davante Adams, Deebo Samuel, DJ Moore. Only 4 wide receivers through 10 rounds. That's a no-no. That's how you get buried by a wide receiver avalanche, folks. I can't believe I started off this stream saying I was going to go 0 RB, and then I don't even get 5 running backs in the first 10 rounds. Do as I say, not as I do. But I do have TJ Hawkinson at tight end. I do have TJ Hawkinson. Can't wait to add Alan Lazard to this team. Oh, as I say that, he gets drafted. This team looks so good through 7 rounds. What happened after 7? Wow, so you even like the Miles Sanders. Miles Sanders was in the 7th. David Montgomery is what ruined this team for you, Rydock? David Montgomery ruined this team? How did that happen? How did that happen? Ooh, this is a good question. When new best ball, bro? I literally have time on my calendar to work on it this week. I appreciated all of the suggestions last week. You guys left a bunch of good comments. Helped me remember some of the key taglines and phrases and slogans from Best Ball 2023. I'm going to try to get that. Let's say, if I say it out loud, it means I have to do that. I am going to have that video scripted and recorded by the end of the week. And then we'll see if we can get the video turned around by next week. There, I did it. I'm putting it out into the ether to make sure I stay on that timeline. I am promising Best Ball Bros next week. Best Ball Bros 2023 will drop next week. That's how you motivate yourself. You make the internet hold you accountable. I love this narrative still floating around that Penny's going to get cut. I'll take odds on that. I mean, not that your 15% is like a ridiculous thing, but that initial report was still from just one beat reporter, just pure conjecture. No actual reporting, no actual sourcing, no reason, just being like, Penny could get cut because he wasn't paid a lot. The actual reporting out of the Eagles camp is he is their locked and loaded base down back. All of the reporting about the Eagles has been, what's this Gainwell versus DeAndre Swift situation going to be like? Oh, baby, I'm about to select Juju Smith-Schuster. Juju Smith-Schuster. All right, my second 1.8% guy. We drafted Miles Sanders, 1.8%, and Juju. Juju Smith-Schuster at pick 129. At 116, hate it. Absolutely hate it. But you give me Juju at 129, and he's perhaps the skeleton key to all of fantasy football in 2023. Let's see. I need to check in on B-Shack. What's B-Shack doing? Justin Jefferson, Patrick Mahomes, Jalen Hurts, Joe Mixon, Aaron Jones, Quentin Johnson, Cortland Sutton, DeAndre Swift, Antonio Gibson, KJ Osborne, DJ Chark. Honestly, it's better than I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be worse. I really did think it was going to be worse. All right. Let's see here. What are we going to be doing? Bop, 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 bop. Wow. All the good wide receivers are gone, huh? Is that how this works? Is this how this works? Taking a wide receiver here feels like capitulation. Good. We could take third leg Greg, who's falling because Adam Troutman. Where are you guys getting Dulcich in drafts? Has Dulcich been dropping significantly? We could take like Jalen Warren, who also impressed in his first preseason game, and probably be done at running back. I think this could still be a 6 running back room if we needed to. I could take Rondale Moore. I think Rondale Moore is probably the prudent pick here. We do have the correlation. He wasn't playing in 2 wide receiver sets, Pete. He wasn't playing in 2 wide receiver sets. All right, we're going to select Rondale Moore. Dulcich goes immediately after. I am curious where. Okay, so he has been going at 150-ish. So yeah. So I do need to wait to load up on Dulcich, at least to the 150s. Drafting schedule this week. Yes, I can give you the drafting schedule this week. Let me pull up my calendar. On Wednesday, we are drafting a Silver Bullet draft on NFFC. That's their single entry contest. It's $1,200 buy-in. So that is our Wednesday. Thursday, I'm going to have the randomizer at 8 p.m. I'll announce that guest probably tomorrow. And then we have FFPC main event draft with Sean Siegel on Thursday night. And then I'm working on scheduling a Best Ball After Dark sometime Friday. So yes, we will have a couple high stakes drafts, randomizer, Best Ball After Dark. We're back, baby. No Best Ball After Dark this past week. I apologize to the YouTube members for missing 1 week of content for you. Dulcich dropped 40 spots after ADP in a BBM I did last night. Yeah. That's the thing. But you guys weren't going to let that happen. I thought, you know what? Maybe I can see if I can get my Dulcich share at 153, but you guys were never going to let that happen. Tom is correct. It is time to grind your cock off season. When is the collab with the counselor happening? I've already done a collab with the counselor. You can go search my YouTube. Search Overzet Counselor. We did an interview back in the day. And then he realized he was being trolled and he never wanted to talk to me again. Seems like he's doing great, though. I checked in on him the other day on Instagram. I think he's almost to 300,000 Instagram subscribers. He's pumping out videos. You know how it's like fantasy YouTube? It's like always, the 5 must-draft players or, 6 league-winning wide receivers. That's the meta. That's how you get people to click. The counselor has his own meta, and it's always like the players to suck. He's like, these are the 4 players who suck the most. And then the next week, it's the 13 players that definitively suck the most. I love how the way counselor helps his audience is by scratching off names off a list who you can't draft. He never actually tells you who to draft. It's just which guys suck. Nobody does a top 10 players who suck list better than the counselor. Brian, I've legitimately thought about doing an origin story. I've told the stories about the counselor a little bit. When he initially got on the industry's radar, it was even before a lot of people knew about his Instagram. It was because he went to a fantasy conference and presented this product he had that Brian's referencing here called Fantasy Frames. And he would send you a frame and you would pick out trading cards from players that were on your team and he would put them in the frame and then send it to you. It was beautiful. All right, let's see here. This feels like a fun LaPorta pick. Do we have any? Yeah, let's do LaPorta. I still need more LaPorta. 14% is not enough. LaPorta, he plays Minnesota in week 16. Let's do it. We get the Lions tight ends of past and present. TJ Hawkinson and Sam LaPorta. We're going to have to figure out, I think we actually have, how are we doing here on quarterback plans? I think we're doing decent. We have some options. We have some backdoor stuff. Did Kyler already go? Yeah, Kyler went. He should. Corain should get a fantasy frame of his BBM team. In a lot of ways, that's what all the DFS bros do. They're like, dude, I won $1 million with Van Jefferson on my DraftKings lineup. Got to get a Van Jefferson jersey. Honestly, a fantasy frame is a far more practical way to celebrate. All right, let's see here. What do we want to do? This probably feels like lock up our quarterback situation. I don't really want to be in the Mac Jones business right now. Kyler's gone. I think we lock up Purdy. I kind of doubt Purdy's going to make it back in this economy to pick 177. His ADP is 167. We got to fend off the Brandon Ayuk drafter. Yeah, let's grab Purdy. All right, so through 14 rounds, we got Kirk Cousins stacked up with Hawkinson. We got Brock Purdy stacked up with Deebo Samuel. Our running backs, Kenneth Walker, Miles Sanders, David Montgomery, and Rashaad Penny. Please do not forget the value that we got on those running backs. Wide receivers, A.J. Brown, Davante Adams, Deebo Samuel, DJ Moore, Juju Smith-Poopster, I believe is what the kids call him, Rondale Moore, and then 2 tight ends, TJ Hawkinson and Sam LaPorta. Brandon can confirm Purdy was not coming back. Am I worried about Purdy's interceptions? I'm terrified. Let's see here. Thoughts on the rookie tight ends in general. Musgrave looks like he will be getting a lot of use. Same with LaPorta. Curious if you think Kincaid is worth it. I've been starting to draft more Musgrave. I obviously love LaPorta. I think the thing that's hard with me on Kincaid, it's not getting excited about him. You can clearly see a path. It's just the price. And when you think of the opportunity cost of where he goes relative to where LaPorta goes, and then relative to Musgrave and Mayer, the fact that those guys are free doesn't seem right. You are paying a huge Bills premium. Kincaid at 114 there. And this is really the only situation where I do Kincaid is in Josh Allen builds. I think it certainly makes sense in Josh Allen builds. Otherwise, it's just like, let me wait 2 to 3 rounds for LaPorta, or let me wait until the end of the draft for some of those other rookie profiles. And honestly, Kincaid wasn't even the most exciting prospect of those tight end groups. When you go down and you look at the athleticism that LaPorta had, when you look at the college production that Mayer had, when you look at the depth chart, I mean, you want to talk about no competition, go look at Musgrave's depth chart there. So I like the rookie tight ends, but I would prefer to play it through the cheaper pieces for sure. LaPorta is like the best mix of all of it, right? Because his target competition is basically non-existent outside of Amon-Ra St. Brown. All of the rhetoric from Lions camp is how much they are going to rely on him out of the gate. And I don't even think they're going to have a choice. Jamison Williams suspended for the first 6 games. It seems like Jahmyr Gibbs is probably going to be a little slow to come along. You're going to look at Amon-Ra as the target hog, and then I think LaPorta is going to be right there behind him. So I think you not only can you get a fast start with LaPorta because of those vacated targets with Williamson out, Jamison Williams out, but then you also get the fast finish for a rookie tight end as he gets more comfortable. And the Lions also just have an awesome fantasy schedule. 2 dome games back-to-back there, Minnesota and Dallas. Love LaPorta. Didn't even think of that. Doo-doo shit poopster and LaPorta potty stack. BM, not Best Ball Mania, BM Mania. Do I anticipate overlay for BBM4 weekly winners? I would bet a lot of money there will not be BBM4 overlay. I do think there could be weekly winners overlay. That is kind of my read right now. B-Spurfs mixing in Marvin Jones at the end. I don't think that's crazy. Damn it. I wanted Curtis Samuel. I did want Curtis Samuel there. Way to be a buzzkill. We can do Khalil Shakur. Get a little Buffalo bring back on our Juju Smith-Poopster. Making sure I'm not missing anything else. Damn, Curtis. I never thought I'd be so sad to get sniped on Curtis Samuel. We had Khalil Shakur as our 7th wide receiver. So we have 3 more picks right now. We're at a 2-4-7-2 build. Definitely adding 1 more running back. Most likely adding 1 more wide receiver. Probably going to end up with 3 tight ends here. Not because I structurally need 3 tight ends, but just because that's going to be the best player. I guess we could make a case for a 3 quarterback build, but I think I'm okay with Kirk and Brock Purdy. I probably shouldn't be okay with that, but I think I'm okay with it. How much fab are you spending on Calvin Austin? My guy, Jason, OG Mans fans, I don't know if he's in the chat this morning. He DMs me Calvin Austin highlights because I think it was on an early BBM stream. I was like, you guys were telling me to take Calvin Austin because I needed a Steelers bring back or something. And I was like, who the fuck is Calvin Austin? In the same way Brick said, who the fuck is Jonathan Mingo? And now he sends me Calvin Austin highlights. Trust me, I'm now on board with taking Calvin Austin over Allen Robinson. I'm definitely on board with that. God damn it. I thought I could push Musgrave here. This is what happens. You hype up Musgrave, and then you can't even get him at pick 184. Tank Dell. Man, this is no longer fun. You know who is kind of a fun running back selection? I should probably just I will keep taking Jeff Wilson. I cannot stop taking Jeff Wilson. I also could be doing a little Zamir White. Actually, I've been trying to boost up my Zamir White stuff. But Pete, Josh Jacobs is going to be back. I know. Relax. Building out that bet I have with Davante Adams. So I do A.J. Brown and Rashaad Penny, Davante Adams and Zamir White. I also have another running back that I'm interested in late. So the team now through 16 rounds, Kirk Cousins, Brock Purdy at running back or at quarterback, 5 running backs, Kenneth Walker, Miles Sanders, David Montgomery, Rashaad Penny, and Zamir White. Wide receivers, A.J. Brown, Davante Adams, Deebo Samuel, DJ Moore, Juju Smith-Poopster, Rondale Moore, Khalil Shakur. Tight ends, TJ Hawkinson, and Sam LaPorta. Pete, any chance we get one more big puppy? I honestly don't know. I do not have insider information on this. My guess is it's all going to have to do with the fill rates of the other contests. You know, when you go to the draft, you can get clues on what Underdog's trying to fill based on what's here in the prime poll position, which is weekly winners and Best Ball Mania. My guess is if they start to feel good about the fill rates for these, specifically probably weekly winners, they would drop another one. So I think that's the moral of the story. If you want a big puppy, hop in weekly winners. Where's my team? You can see all of my weekly winners slow drafts I'm in right now. Welcome, Bindles. Ooh, I did see a little Miles Gaskin steam. I need to, maybe I hit up Laird and be like, hey, can you give us a little alpha on Miles Gaskin? FF Doom likes the Zamir pick, even with Jacobs. No way he hits 90% usage again. Yeah, and it's just like at that price too, like you don't need standalone value at pick 184. It's just a contingent upside play. We getting a new BBAD soon, Best Ball After Dark soon. Yeah, there'll be one this week. I'm working to confirm with my guest, but I'll have that solidified. It'll most likely be Friday. Like I said, I was out for my anniversary weekend, so you guys didn't get Best Ball After Dark. Gaskin's a good running back. What's the Zach Ertz news? Someone let me know. Did I miss Zach Ertz news? Someone let me know. What Zach Ertz news did I miss? Cheese Curd Bandit. What tool are you using for exposure in week 16, 17 schedule? This is the Draft Caddy. You go to the draftcaddy.com. It's a monthly subscription, overlay tools for all of the sites, drafters, DraftKings. You can upload whatever information you want or use some pre-selected ones. I use 16, 17 in my BBM exposures. The draftcaddy.com. You can do a free, I think it's like a free week trial or a free 2-day trial. All right. How are we sticking the landing here? How are we sticking the landing? Ty Chandler would have been a fun pick. The guy I want to start mixing in here with San Francisco. Where did Ty Chandler go? I do want to start. Did OMG think he was sniping me on Jawan Jennings? We're drafting Jawan Jennings now. Is that your bring back? You had to get the Jawan Jennings bring back with Sam Howell. I am starting to draft a little Jordan Mason, folks. I'm doing it. Starting to draft a little Jordan Mason. Jordan Mason is my 6th running back. I might just who do we want with this last pick? What other correlation do we need? We didn't get any Washington. Is Cole Turner a thing? Is Cole Turner a thing? If you're going to draft Jawan Jennings, do I get to draft Cole Turner? Is that what we're out here doing now? Can someone tell me if Cole Turner is a thing? Oh, I am firmly on Team Jordan Mason over TDP. Yeah, the white backgrounds, I think, is it Olave that now has the white background too? Yeah, man, those white backgrounds are a huge eyesore for the dark mode bros. I guess if you go to light mode, does it look better? It does look better in white mode. Is Turner a thing? Look at. I like this. Should I draft Cole Turner? Let's see here. I've been wanting to get a little bit more Chase Claypool. We could also do Gesicki. Trey McBride, I think, is fine too. Mayer, if we just kind of rip in Vegas here. Who do I want to keep boosting? I missed out on Musgrave. Let's do Michael Mayer. I do feel like there's a decent amount of risk with just the Raiders in general. Sean's been talking about it a lot on Wednesday Best Ball Breakfast, but I do think that positive ceiling outcomes for Davante Adams. If Davante Adams is playing this whole season at an elite level, I think the entire offense is going to be humming pretty well. So we're going to add our second rookie tight into this build, Michael Mayer. And we finish with a 2-6-7-3 build. Kirk Cousins and Brock Purdy, not the sexiest quarterback room. I'll be the first to say it. I've drafted sexier quarterback rooms. Running backs, Kenneth Walker, Miles Sanders, David Montgomery, Rashaad Penny, Zamir White, Jordan Mason. I said I had never drafted a running back ahead of ADP, but then I took Jordan Mason. Wide receivers, A.J. Brown, Davante Adams, Deebo Samuel, DJ Moore, Juju Smith-Poopster, Rondale Moore, Khalil Shakur. Tight ends, TJ Hawkinson, Sam LaPorta, and Michael Mayer. All right, it's official. Cole Turner is a thing. Cole Turner is a thing. I could have taken him. I do. Here's my promise to Cole Turner Nation. I will start to take some Cole Turner on my Sam Howell teams, because I do still have a ton of Sam Howell, 16%, but I have 0 Sam Howell Cole Turner stacks. Sounds like I needs to change that. Nick Bird said last year Riviera said Turner has hands like Greg Olson. All right, I'll take it. How do I change to dark mode, bro? There's a little light in the top right. Here, let me show you. Let me show you. See this? See this right here? Boom, 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 boom. Look at it. I'm just out here doing tech support. You know, when weekly winners hadn't rolled out for Android users yet, I was out here showing the people how to manually get into weekly winners contests from their phone. When people don't know how to use dark mode, I'm out here showing them. A lot of these influencers, they're just a pretty face. They just get on camera and tell you what promo code to use. Not all influencers are willing to get their hands dirty with tech support. Submit a ticket. You got an issue? Submit a ticket. Peter Overzet at contact.com. Let me know which tech issues you're struggling with on Underdog. I'll get in there, look at the source code. We'll get you figured out in no time. How do you win BBM4? Yeah, submit that as a ticket. I'll let you know. I'll let you know. I will. Yeah, it took me a while. I had a period in my life where I was a little resistant to dark mode. There's still some things I don't like it for. Gmail, I'm not a dark mode on Gmail kind of guy. But some stuff, it is definitely GTO. Dark mode on Underdog is definitely GTO. Can't do it on Gmail. I'm still a boomer. I'm still a light mode boomer. All right, here's what we're going to do. We are going to bring on my guy, JonBoyBeats. Actually, Yes, John, you're going to come on. I do need to officially recap this team, but how are you doing, buddy?
What's up? I'm doing well. It's a good morning here.
Yes, it is. It is a good morning. Those of you who are not familiar with John, does great work across a bunch of different outlets. You might know him from some streams with Mike Zakarian in the NBA streets. You might know him doing some stuff with the Badge Bros, and has also been doing a lot of work in the Underdog stuff, doing really good stuff too, breaking down the contest, the best ball contests as well. If you're trying to kind of figure out where should I be putting my money, which contests have smooth payout structures, which ones might be a little bit more top heavy, all of that good stuff. But John, let me just recap this completed team here for the audio listeners.
Yeah.
I feel like I didn't properly service them at the very end. So I'm going to do that. And then we're going to talk to John about a little project he's been working on that can help us in our drafts. But here we go. This is draft 119 in the books. Kirk Cousins and Brock Purdy at quarterback. Kenneth Walker, Miles Sanders, David Montgomery, Rashaad Penny, Zamir White, Jordan Mason at running back. Wide receiver, A.J. Brown, Davante Adams, Deebo Samuel, DJ Moore, Juju Smith-Poopster, Rondale Moore, Khalil Shakur. 3 tight ends, T.J. Hawkinson, Sam LaPorta, Michael Mayer. Not my favorite team, not my worst team. It's another dart in the chamber, bullet in the chamber, dart to throw, whatever. John, tell me what you've been working on.
Yeah, so I've been trying to figure out this my main like concept was trying to figure out like through the different parts of the draft where it seems like there's value, right? And like how to quantify that a little bit, right? So you think about the obviously elite QB is like a thing this year, right? And then you can there's a lot of different arguments about where the dead zone even is now for running back, and late wide receivers versus late tight ends, and like I don't know, there's just a lot of different things that are moving around. And I know personally there's like certain spots of the draft where I'm like, cool, I'm gonna hammer this here, and this feels like a good spot here and whatever. And but I was trying to figure out like how can I quantify that like within the realm of this season, right? And I think that's where when I was looking through different tools and Rotoviz and 4for4 of a lot of good stuff for looking back through what's going on is like it doesn't give you the rest of the context for that year as well, right? So yeah, you can look up like how did taking 2 running backs through 6 rounds and waiting or whatever, you could do all these different filters and see how different advance rates were and stuff, but like you lose a little bit of the context of like what else was happening that year within ADP, right? So like yeah, maybe it was better to take a couple more RBs, but that's because you could take wide receivers late. And I mean, I guess maybe that stuff's kind of just baked into the advance rate, but I wanted to try to like quantify it a little bit more and be like, even though I think that maybe like, I don't know, some of the earlier tight ends seem like a good value, are they truly a good value compared to like where other things are going on this year and where other things are happening? And so I did it in basically like 2 parts. And this is kind of the final piece here. There's a whole lot of like stuff that formulas and stuff that basically came out to equal this the player list. But basically I broke it down into 2 parts. Is value over replacement, right? Which I think is a little bit of something that is somewhat common, I guess, and just kind of pick some different levels for value over replacement. And then I also looked at value like within positional tiers. And then I also had a portion of it that was historical data, and then I used projections for this year, right? So there's like 4 different parts that kind of all meld together, and it may be a little bit confusing. I'm going to share one sheet with you real quick that shows some of the historical stuff that I look at.
Yeah.
Because I think this is a good tool, and I think I've shared this on Twitter. If not, I probably need to do it again. But this is basically this is all scores, underdog scoring for all players over the last 3 years. And so, and I'll be using this a lot during like the daily contest this year. I did a similar thing for NBA this last season because I think that historical scoring is a really good thing to think of. And especially these thresholds, I'll zoom in a little bit, but some of these scoring thresholds, like how many games did they score over 25 points? How many games they score over 30 points within this sample of however many games they have.
Yeah.
And then it can also like pick out their average, like their ceiling. This ceiling is like a score of like some of their highest scores when you take out a few outliers. Same thing with the floor.
Yeah.
And I think floor is actually a really important one that I think people don't think through too often, but like that floor relative to the ceiling, I think is a pretty important thing to look at. But anyways, so this is like the starting point for all of the historical data that I was using.
Yeah, that's
And
awesome.
yeah,
I think some of that ceiling stuff too would be very valuable for weekly winners. My brain's over there a little
yeah.
bit too of
Oh
like
yeah.
who are these guys that actually can go for 30, 35 plus.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I actually I used this sheet to basically create my weekly winners rankings list. I've put that on pause for now. It's just my brain can't do that now. I'm trying to get through BBM and then
Yeah.
I'll get back to weekly winners and give that a crack. Uh, so anyway, so really the value of a replacement is like a lot more than just like scoring, I guess you want to call it, because
Yeah.
looked at like I looked at what the replacement player was for like all those different thresholds, like over 20% game or over 25-point games, over, ceiling average, floor average, all that stuff. And I just created like this fake replacement player for all those.
Yeah.
Um, and then I compared every player to that, right? And so then the idea is like, okay, if Mahomes and Kelsey, right? That's a pretty good example, right? Like how often is Kelsey like they're both going to be outscoring their replacement players a lot, right? And so like it's so just comparing those two together within the first round isn't really going to give like a ton of context, right? Because they're both probably going to have pretty high scores, and
Right.
they're both obviously outscoring the replacement. And so then I took it kind of the next step, and I manually kind of created where the different tiers are today. And this is all stuff that's not really on the sheet, so I'm just kind of walking you through it. But basically, so like Kelsey, I compared him to like the top, like Andrews, Hawk, Kittle, and Pitts, probably that tier.
Yeah.
And then Mahomes, like same thing. I compared him to the tier that's probably ends at Fields, and like just kept creating like these different positional tiers. And
Yeah.
then I just created like a different weighted score and stuff like that. So now when you look at, if you go back to like the player list, tab, and you can look at like Kelsey's score of 72. Mahomes is down there. It's gonna be funny. They're probably gonna be the same damn score. Mahomes is
75.
75. Yeah. So they're still both scoring really well in this, but like you do start to see some really big gaps and some really big like spreads between positional groups. And so actually, if you click back to the chart, that's where it summarizes the positions within each round and like kind of what the score is for each player, or what the score is
Mm.
for those players within those rounds, right? So it kind of really gives you a good idea maybe of the darker the green it is, the more valuable that position is within that round. And then you can kind of go from there and get a little bit granular with it. And kind of get into the chart on the right, which is all the different player rankings and who's better and what round and stuff like that.
So how would you, because one thing that jumps out to me is like there's a bunch of rounds here looking at the positional score chart. And by the way, if you guys are the audio listeners right now, I did drop this link in the chat. I'll drop it again. I'll put it in the show notes as well. But we're looking at an ADP value over replacement Google sheet that John has put together. But so one thing I would notice is the QB appears to have a better score in like multiple rounds of any other position: round 2, round 3, round 5, round 10, round 11. Is how do you apply that in drafts where it's like, is that saying it's a better pick in all of those rounds? Like, which way do you actually apply that?
Yeah, so I think it's good to look like within the position and then also like within each round,
Mm,
right? I mean, it's not like anything's going to be like a silver bullet and be like, here's the
yeah.
exact draft order you should do or whatever. But like if you look, if you scroll down past like round 13, I think, Yeah, 13, it kind of starts falling off a little bit, and I forget who's in 17 that may be making it pop up, but that might just be Tannehill is in round 17.
Okay.
And he's like a really good value because he's got really good historical stuff and he's projecting well this year, and just nobody wants to
Hmm.
believe it. So anyways, yeah. So like for QB, it's like I don't really want to, like, after that, call it Pickett, Purdy, Love tier, like I just don't want anybody else. Like I don't want to be taking dart throws on Stroud or Young or any of those guys, because you can see some of the later round guys are a little bit stronger on some of the other positions. And then like the other context I'll give is like for tight end, if you scroll up, um, tight end is kind of similar to where it's got some pretty strong scores like throughout. I mean, there's some variance there, but if it's strong for a couple different rounds, then maybe that means it's not as important to technically take, like if Kelsey is grading out very similar to Kittle, like I don't think that's telling you to like take Kelsey and Kittle and like another tight end late, right? I think that's just kind of saying like they're both pretty good picks relative to their own positional value and relative to the other people within their ADP. And so like either or is a good option kind of thing. And I think it gets a little bit skewy towards the end of drafts, just because like a lot of those guys are going to be kind of all relatively similar to replacement, and so there's going to
Yeah.
be like some bigger. There's going to be a few guys that project bigger. Oh, so I actually skipped over a couple things. So um, I did use the Fantasy Life projections for this too, which I think was really good. I mean, obviously some great minds over there putting together the projections, and so I dumped all of those in, and then the other thing that I do, I talked about how I looked at it positionally, but then I also compared each player to basically like 16 places above or below, plus or minus 8 spots within
Hmm.
the draft point, right? And so it's just trying to figure out like, is this player good relative to 8 players before him, 8 players after him, and then just keep doing it all the way down. And so it's kind of this like made up formula thing where I weighted a bunch of stuff together and I tried to figure out like what was the most important. But I think the biggest thing I was trying to do was just provide as much context to like the current ADP landscape, and then try to figure out like what is that telling us based on how these guys have done in the past and how they're projecting this year.
So if I were to, first of all, this is very cool stuff, and I like how actionable it is too, with being able to scan this stuff and even some of your player takes. I, I guess if I were to poke holes in it, it seems like this is very heavily reliant on like historical data and what guys have
Mhm.
done, and then struggles with probably the archetype targeting that we have, specifically with like week 17 stuff and rookies who come on late. Like my guess is if you relied on this exclusively, you would end up with a very like veteran heavy,
Yeah.
almost removed of a lot of young breakout type. So how do you kind of square that with knowing how these tournaments are structured and the young guys coming on late in the season?
Yeah, no, I think that's a really good point, and that's true. Like at face value, that is what happened, right? A lot of the rookies were scoring low. A lot of the olds, like I see some people making some Thielen comments, and like I tried really hard to figure out a way to not have Thielen pop up on these lists, but he's like still popping. And so yeah, some of the olds definitely pop out a little bit better. And so what I did actually is, so I talked about how I have it scored like some with projection and then some with historical. So like for the rookies, it's just 100% based on projection,
Mm,
and nothing's based on historical. And then like for the olds, like for some of the smaller sample size guy, like the guys who only have 1 year in, I did maybe like an 80-20 projection to historical. And then even for some of like the old guys, like the Kamara, the Dalvin Cook, like some of those guys who were really elite historically, but then like may not be projecting that well this year, I also skewed them higher towards the projection this year as well. Just to like for a guy like Davante Adams, right? He scores extremely well in this. And like, yeah, there's some argument like Jimmy G, whatever. But like, I don't know. I don't think anybody's really saying Davante is like falling off an age cliff or anything like that. And so I didn't
right.
really mess with him, right? But then some of the older guys where they've already started to decline, or there's some pretty tried and true concerns about them declining, that is when I tinkered a little bit and I tried to you know, it's a little bit subjective, but I tried to go through it as best as possible and tinker with that a little bit. And so I think one of the things that is really interesting to me is which of the rookies like popped off really well because of this. And again, it's like it's ADP you know relative, right? And so like the rookies that didn't score very well were some of the early guys like Gibbs. I know you're not gonna like this, but JSN also didn't score that well. And then Charbonnet, Tank Bigsby, and Bryce Young, who I like love Charbonnet and Bigsby. So that was a little bit of a bummer to see. And Bryce Young didn't score that well either. Some of the rookies that scored really well, and I think I'm actually weighting the good rookies a little bit higher in my mind, just because like if you're scoring well as a rookie on this without any of the historical, like that's pretty telling. And again, it's a lot of it's based on just projections alone, so you got to give a little bit of grain of salt there. But Anthony Richardson, just incredible score. Devon Achane, really good score. Rashaad Rice, Kendre Miller, who's now hurt, so that sucks. Roshan Johnson and Jaden Reed were some of the better rookies.
Awesome. Yeah. So check out that stuff. I think that is what the most value of tools like that too, right? Is like not drafting off of it like religiously, but looking specifically kind of out the outliers too, and being like, hey, this guy grades well in all of these marks, or this guy is probably just universally undervalued relative to what he brings. So I loved what you put together. I think it also dovetails nicely with what Nick submitted for the Best Ball Data Bowl. He had a really cool submission digging into a lot of these dynamics too. Did you get a chance to check his out?
Yeah, definitely. I think like the biggest delta is, you know, I'm just not a sim wizard like those guys, right? So I'm just strictly a spreadsheet socialist. I can't get into the sim wizardry, but I think the way that he simulated some of the I forget what the second like stat he created, but it had something to do with like positional value or like it wasn't just replacement. I think that was similar to like how I was thinking through those, like trying to compare to this year's like groupings, right? Because it's pretty clear where like the positional groups are, and if you just kind of, you know, take some ADP chunks and be like, okay, these are the guys I want to compare, then it's pretty good. But yeah, I think it's trying to solve a similar thing of like how to get the ADP story.
So we are in a draft. John Boy is going to co-pilot with me here. We got the 110 because we're not allowed to have nice things about to be on the clock here. We are on the clock. Bijan, CeeDee Lamb, Chubb, Amon-Ra. What does our spreadsheet tell us, John Boy? Who do we like here?
Our spreadsheet tells us we like CeeDee the best here, but it's pretty close. Yeah.
I'm just about even with the field on CeeDee. Happy to get him here. Lots of some interesting debates about the Cowboys offense right now, and a lot of sharp people think that they are going to throw more than maybe even their personnel would indicate, which is something to get excited about.
Yeah, it's one of those teams where it's like I haven't been really taking a whole lot of CeeDee, but it's also like I just don't want to really be underweight on CeeDee. So I've been trying to sprinkle him some more, and then it's just so easy to get him with Amon-Ra, which we don't get here. But like I'm hoping Davante falls here because he's the smash of the second round.
Yeah, I take a lot of Garrett Wilson, but when I have John Boy on with this sheet where Davante Adams just laps everybody, I did just take him in my last draft too, but I have no problem grabbing him here. We get the CeeDee Lamb, Davante Adams start. How are you thinking through? Because Adams has been like an interesting conversation topic, because you can look at that historical stuff and just be like, he should be going like right after Cooper Kupp. Like you could easily make that argument. People are very worried about systemic risk with the Raiders, whether it's the quarterback play, whether it's him just being disgruntled, this team kind of melting down. How are you kind of applying the maybe overall team risk with just Devontae's Sterling profile?
Yeah, I mean, I think I mean, I'm a Packers fan, so I just love Davante no matter what. So that definitely skews my view a little bit. I think there's like some outsized chance that he gets traded mid-season, which like would be probably really good for his value. And like if he was on like a contender right now, or like a team that wasn't perceived as being like maybe a really shitty team and like not like shutting them down towards the end of the season, like I don't know, he'd be like probably a top 5 pick or top 6 pick or something. So I think there's all the Rodgers stuff that he did with his salary is like screaming to me like Davante's just going to get there in week 7 somehow. So I don't know. I mean, yeah, there's the risk with Jimmy G, but like there was the same risk when like he went from Rodgers to Carr and he still smashed last year. So I mean, I think he's just one of those. He's a guy like Derrick Henry where he's just like, I think he's just gonna be like just beat the odds and beat the age stuff and all that crap. And until we like see him decline, I just don't want to bet on a decline.
Yeah, and this is like the classic, our generation's better in best ball, but I have been ripping in Davante Adams in weekly winners because you basically get to have your cake and eat it too, where it's like we know whenever he's out there, he's going to put up the spike weeks. But if there is a little super late season risk, then it doesn't fucking matter because you're just playing for those other weeks. So I already feel like a cliche of like, I prefer him slightly at weekly winners, but I do think it actually dovetails with the things we're talking about, his ceiling with still having some team level risk.
Yeah. So one of the things I think is interesting, and we got some time here before the next pick is, so what I did is I totally ratcheted up like the positional stuff in my so like relative to position, I ratcheted that up a lot in my model just to kind of see what stuck out. And there were some interesting concepts. I want to talk about QB here because elite QBs are coming up here, but really the late round guys, the Jordan Love, Kenny Pickett, and Brock Purdy all like popped up a lot better in value when you like look only at kind of or more at positional group. And then some of the early round guys slowed down a little bit and kind of came off of it. And Lamar was actually one of the bigger fallers from that. And I think just because that may be like just a little bit of kind of a weird ADP glitch to where he's like in that weird middle range between like the elite crew and then like the mid-tier crew, and you know he's just like kind of which one do you kind of compare him to, and I think I compared him to the elite crew, and so yeah, Lamar did fall off a little bit from a value standpoint there, and then like same thing with guys like Trevor Lawrence, and even Justin Fields dropped a little bit, but I think one of the things that's like interesting to see is when I ratcheted up the positional stuff and like a position didn't, like a guy really didn't change at all. And the two that stuck out to me were Travis Kelce, like didn't move, Justin Jefferson like didn't move at all. Like that's like that was crazy. Like Jefferson compared to Chase, like Chase and Hill dropped down significantly. Jefferson didn't move, and it's like he's got to be the 101. Like there's no argument. And then Darren Waller was the other big one that I think
interesting,
gaining some steam.
Yeah, he has been. So we are on the clock here at 3:10. Jacobs, Jahmyr Gibbs, Lamar Jackson, Keenan, Judy. What do you like here?
I think it's kind of interesting to do Jacobs. And just stop with Raiders. I don't know if you like that. Or Lamar. I mean, I'd say Jacobs or Lamar.
Let's see here. Give me. Let's do Jacobs here. I mean, if you drafted Josh Jacobs and Davante Adams last year on the same team, you would have been very stoked about that outcome. And I do, in the same way I kind of took Michael Mayer and Zamir White on that last team. Like, I do think building out correlation around the Raiders when you've selected Davante Adams makes sense, because I do really think if he's hitting on all cylinders, like that whole team is coming along for the ride.
Yeah, and I think you can just not even, I mean, there's not a ton of Raiders to draft, but I think like even playing Jacobs and Davante together last year in DFS was a viable strategy for a couple different weeks. And you know, I think the thought process is like, oh yeah, they switch off. Oh, we gotta go.
You want to go Lamar here? He comes back.
Yeah, I'm Lamar here for sure.
I've been trying to boost my exposure to Lamar a little bit. Pat always gets me drafting Lamar on our Wednesdays. I got to get at least up to even with the field. So our team through 4 here: Lamar Jackson at quarterback, 2 Raiders, Josh Jacobs and Davante Adams, and CeeDee Lamb here. But keep going. What were you saying?
Yeah, no, I was just saying like I think, you know, people think that they offset each weeks, but they do have weeks where they score well together, and it's not like the Raiders really added anybody too crazy this year, and so I could still see them doing pretty well. And then like, I don't know, I think the Jacobs window is probably going to close pretty soon here, and he's going to start scooting back towards like where did Taylor just went the 2-3 turn. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, you know, that's going to happen right when Jacobs figures his shit out. So this last 2 weeks, like I slammed so many drafts these last 2 weeks.
Yeah.
I'm in too many slows right now, and I try to do as many BBMs as possible because I just thought this window of all this uncertainty with the running backs was just like so pure.
Yeah, and we're already seeing it correct a little bit. I mean, Ramondre went in the second round of my last draft. Like, Brees never budges in these drafts. So I know we were joking that people on DraftKings still get like the 4th and 5th round guys because of the out tag, but you do just feel it all shifting up. And it was interesting because like all throughout the summer, and I know they talked about it a lot on ADP chasing, which by the way is taking place at noon. Sam Sherman, Davis Maddock, Pat Carrain going through the ADP landscape. But this idea of like eventually these running backs will get moved up as question marks kind of dissipate. I think what surprised us is how long these question marks have lingered, new ones popping up with Jonathan Taylor, still no Dalvin Cook signed, but it does feel like stuff is starting to at least get closer to being solidified.
Yeah, I think so. Well, and it's just funny too, I think the big thing that stuck out to me and is important for people to like think through is like as soon as news hits, like it's important to just like think what the tail of that news is, right? Because and like when you look at Zeke, Fournette, and Dalvin a little bit, but also like Kareem Hunt over the summer, like their like position didn't change at all. Like people like, you know, they were free agents, they were going in whatever round, and then they slowly just all started to like tail off later and later as there was no news. And it's like these guys aren't going to sign like before training camp. They're like, we see now they still haven't signed, and so like that was never like a thing. Like they were never going to sign like at the end of May, right? So or the end of June or whatever. And so like just knowing that and seeing the ADPs keep falling is like one of the things that I try to keep in mind. Like with Taylor, it was like, as soon as that happened, I'm like, okay, well, he's going to keep falling here probably for a few weeks if there's no news. So I'm just going to try to keep zapping it up. And then whenever he adjusts back, I'm just going to kind of, you know, fall off of it and see what shook out next. So this doesn't seem like a very wide receiver heavy room here yet.
There's been some weird quirks. Like you see Devonta Smith go ahead of Adams. We got my guy TM Longacre who takes Calvin Ridley at 21. So you do see some like aggressive picks, but then it tends to normalize. Any draft where Najee goes at 40, Mixon at 41, I think we're in a more normal room here. We see the quarterbacks coming off the board. Fields at 48, Burrow at 50, Herbert at 52. So to set the table again, CeeDee Lamb, Davante Adams, Josh Jacobs, Lamar Jackson is our start. And we're going to be on the clock at pick 58 in the back of the 5th round here. One other thing I wanted to ask you about, have you noticed in relying on your ADP value over replacement chart, because in a lot of ways that's like helping you make individual decisions. Have you noticed how it's come together from a structural standpoint, that it like lends well to a specific structure more than another?
Yeah, definitely. So one of the things is like the wide receivers are like relatively good value throughout. And so my like rule of thumb is just like whatever round you're in, divide by 2, and that should be how many receivers you have. Just like kind of get one every other round or whatever. But then from a RB standpoint, 1 or 2 early and then a bunch late, like later on is kind of better. So I think we got to go receiver here. And I don't know, who do you like here? Deontay is a pretty good score. I don't know if that cues anything up.
Yeah, I'm happy to take Deontay here. We have seen, to me, this whole tier is so flat that I don't mind just going out and getting some guys we like. There weren't really, I don't know if you do any like Davante Adams, Michael Pittman correlation. I don't have a ton of Pittman, but that's the only other thing I'm noticing.
Yeah, I think I don't have a ton of Pittman either, which I feel like I should because I have a lot of Richardson. But I'm totally fine with like Richardson and Josh Downs later and just not really caring too much if he gets stacked up.
Have you been doing Marquise Brown at all? He's another guy I'm light on in this range.
I do like Marquise, and he grades well. He grades pretty well relative to where he's at here. Lockett would be, is he gone already? Mike Evans grades super well, but that's probably more the old stuff. and I didn't adjust for him too well. So yeah, I think Marquise Brown's a good pick.
Yeah, let's do. I've been wanting to be at least even on Marquise Brown. Like, I don't mind being underweight Pittman, but Marquise seems like a guy that I should be getting a little bit more. So we do go wide receiver at that turn. Deontay Johnson, Marquise Brown. But yeah, continue what you were talking about with kind of like how the value over replacement stuff jives with structures.
Yeah, so I think it does. Like if you just kind of go based on the rankings, then it isn't going to give you like the greatest structures, because I think it's just not going to feel like a good team like we've been drafting all summer, because you're probably going to take like you're going to hit like the QBs and tight ends a little bit earlier just because of that score. And so that's where I think the context is important. If it's like multiple tight ends are scoring well, then it's like, okay, well, I can wait a little bit more on tight end. Even though Kelsey is a good scorer and Waller are both good scores, it's like if they're both good scores at ADP relative to their position, then just like take Waller, right? Because like you can only play one of them every week. And so like I haven't figured out how to like account for that, and I'm not even really too sure there is. That's just kind of, you got to just know how the rosters work. And so that's a little bit tricky too. But I think the other thing is it does tend a little bit lighter on receivers, just because it doesn't like the receiver group that's like called in like the kind of the 8th round on. And so, which obviously is where we for a lot of the summer haven't really liked it either. But it really stretches that out for quite a bit. And then you just you just feel really light at receiver if you don't get a few. And so that's why I try to be intentional in taking, I'm just saying stuff that you say all the time on these Avalanche streams, but just be intentional with trying to take some early, and then you can kind of kick it around and see what happens late.
On that same note, have you noticed?
Ask you about Lamar. Oh, go ahead. I'll let you go first.
Well, just to kind of what does the stuff work with structures? Have you noticed any two players that grade out really well from value over replacement that also happen to be a stack or happen to be teammates? Obviously, we just did Adams and Jacob, but I'm curious, are there a couple that like line up really well?
I haven't noticed a big stack too much. I also have only been really using this for like a week, so I haven't got a ton of reps with it, but I haven't noticed a stack specifically. The reason I want to ask you about Lamar was I feel like Lamar is a pretty good tool like against the Avalanche, right? Because like his receivers go in that weird range where the Avalanche is like over, right? And like you can just snag one and Zay or Bateman or Odell in the 8th, 9th, 10th, and kind of still get a good number of wide receivers.
Well, that's certainly more true now. Like early drafting, like Pat and I had those spots where we would take Lamar and then they would be gone by pick 84, both of them gone. And so then in that way, I was like, God damn it, why did we take Lamar? But it definitely is a little bit more viable now that these guys are falling. And it looks like we can just play the ADP game here and take Flowers unless you see anything else.
No, I like Flowers. And he actually grades pretty decent for a rookie. So that's good to see in the model.
Yeah.
Waller's like screaming up, man. It's crazy. He was stagnant for he was, I don't know. I was trying to get as much of him as possible and I did not get enough. And then now he's just screaming up and I don't really know what changed.
I mentioned this in a group chat that a lot of the Waller steam feels Waller agnostic and more about people hating the plethora of wide receiver options. Because everyone's like, I don't want to think about any of these wide receivers. Darren Waller, let's ride. And it's like not even a Darren Waller take. It's like, I don't want anyone else. Therefore, Darren Waller has to be the guy. Yeah. So would you want to double tap Bateman here, or like another thing we could potentially do? You mentioned Tanny being a big value. I still continue to love Treylon Burks. You could like set up something there. We also have some interesting running backs up here. How would you play this? Yeah,
I mean, I like this running back group a lot. And I don't know how I feel about Connor and Marquise Brown. I've done it enough. You're not a Connor guy at all, it looks like. but he grades really well in this. So now it's Connor and Rashaad White, Burks. I think Burks is the right pick here.
I let my guess drive the thing.
All right, I'll talk you into Connor. I'll talk you into Connor.
All right, sell me on James Conner, who I cannot imagine being the guy I need in week 17. But
yeah,
if we only have one running back here in through 7 rounds, maybe we could use him at the beginning.
I know. I struggle with like the whole do you need him in week 17 thing, but like I don't know, didn't you need Cam Akers in week 16 last year? Like
True.
You know, it's not too big of a difference to me. But like I don't know, I feel like everybody thinks Connor's super old, and like he's not that old, and
28,
he's
right?
Like, yeah, I don't know. I think they think like I think everybody thinks he's fallen off, and I think he's still got a little bit of juice, and he's like the clear guy on Arizona. Like there's no one else on Arizona, and I don't know. I just think I don't love Connor. It's not like I'm like pounding the table for him, but if I can get him past ADP and just work him in there, and it kind of makes sense a little bit, I think it's fine. And I absolutely love the running back wide receiver pairings.
Me too.
Because it's just such a sneaky way to get through the playoffs if things go right. And, you know, the Cardinals could be a complete train wreck by then, which, you know, is the risk you take. But also if Connor's the guy you need in week 16 and Marquise Brown's the guy you need in week 17, that's not bad. And I think it sounds like Kyler's going to be playing, right?
I was just going to bring that up. I was going to play devil's advocate against myself, against the market, right? Like the market is pushing up Kyler. I assume because they have more confidence that he's going to play more games than they initially thought. And then if that is the case, like then shouldn't the market be pushing up the running back a little bit? I'm just saying if we have more confidence in the offense, you think you would see a little movement. But the thing that sucks, right, is you look at the team totals, week 15 through 17 for the Cardinals, and it's literally the last in the league. Like no one is bullish on this team late. That said, like once we make the Marquise Brown bet, once we make the James Conner bet, like we are necessarily Arizona Cardinals fans in this multiverse situation we're in here.
Yeah. I don't know. I think you're talking me out of it too. Maybe I should not just stick to the sheets, but I don't know. I think having a little bit of Connor, having more than 1% is good. So getting you a little bit of action.
And the thing I've conceded, and the problem is I just haven't gotten to do a ton of true zero RB teams on draft. Like I love Connor as part of that room, you know, where you are like, if Connor was our first running back here, and I guess we can, you know, quibble about, you know, okay, being your second or not, but I do like the idea of like, no, you need some of that early season production here. But yeah, I mean, again, James Conner, 2 years ago, he would be going in the 5th round. Right now he'd be going where Mike Davis did that year. So it is a much different price. I think sometimes it also feels gross to me. Like in my rooms, I want a big discount on those kind of guys. Like I barely take Miles Sanders. I got him at 81 in the draft before. So it's like, if I am going to plug my nose, I at least want to hang my hat on some pretty epic ADP value. We got him 7 picks past ADP though. So it wasn't like a complete wash.
So what's your take on tight ends here? Do you Njoku and you took a lot of Njoku and Freiermuth, huh?
Yeah, this was a range early on again in drafts when super wide receiver avalanche rooms where I was like, I'm just not capitulating and taking Allen Lazard 20 picks ahead of ADP. Like I like Njoku, I like Freiermuth, so I will take those guys. So we do have a ton of options here, right? Because there's a couple interesting running backs. You know, both the Commanders, AJ Dillon are interesting to me. You could stack up Dak Prescott with CeeDee Lamb, although we do have some other quarterback situations. I was going to float Freiermuth if we wanted to build out a Kenny Pickett double. I don't know how I feel quite as much about like Njoku with no correlation ties, but what do you think?
Yeah, you're kind of struggling with Njoku. I don't hate Njoku here. I mean, he does have a divisional correlation to Baltimore, which I know is not as sexy, but he does play him twice throughout the year. And I think, like, I don't know. I think Njoku's good. This group of tight ends is really strong. And I think you kind of want one by the time you get to Freiermuth. I am I'm not I just haven't been able to commit to like 3 tight ends late.
Yeah.
And so if I'm not going to commit to that, then I also don't want to just do like I don't want to get one in like the Kincaid, Dulcich, like that range. Well, Dulcich now is falling out, but
Yeah.
that's like just a thin that group seems like a reach a little bit, and the numbers show that too. And so so yeah, that's kind of like where I like to end. And I think we can still get some mini stuff going on with Cleveland and the Jets late.
For sure. Yeah, you're definitely not boxed out of that. We are on the clock. Gibson falls a pretty big faller here. We also have like Devon A-Chain if we want to get a little Baltimore bring back, who I'm
let's do A-Chain. Let's do A-Chain. Yeah, he grades really well for a rookie, and that makes me excited in this tool. And it's a great bring back.
Yeah, great bring back. And again, you know, how we're applying like preseason stuff. It's not like the usage so much as like how he's getting used, and him, like them, you know, putting him out wide, getting them that screen pass over the middle. Like, holy shit. If like that's how they're going to start using him, it could be very exciting there. So yeah, I've been taking a ton of Mostert and Wilson all drafting season, have been on A-Chain, but have been trying to boost it a little bit here. I'm at about now over 10%, but I still would like a little bit more.
Yeah, the best part of preseason, I think, is when when people don't understand like the first game rotations that well. And I think A-Chain might fall a little bit, because I've already seen some of the threaders this morning being like, A-Chain was the third running back in, and Wilson and Mostert didn't start, so he's like deep on the depth list. And I'm like, I don't really think that's how it worked. I think they gave the veteran Gaskin like a couple kicks at the tire because he's just a vet, and then they wanted to see what A-Chain could do. And I wouldn't be surprised if that's just a massive overreaction. The same for Charbonnet. Like DJ Dallas got touched before Charbonnet. It's like that stuff just doesn't matter at all.
Yeah. For sure. I'm making a best ball tip video about preseason overreactions. It just like, it's so funny to me that we spend all summer literally optimizing for week 17, but then there's 15 snaps in week 1 preseason, and we want to slide guys up and down for signal that is most directionally actionable to week 1. Like, yes, there's probably some signal there for week 1 stuff, what they intend to do, but guys, we're trying to win a tournament in week 17 here. How do man, the first time I get Dave Feldman in one of my best ball chats, it took John Boy to bring Feldman out. Are you team Brian Robinson or team Antonio Gibson?
I think I am team Brian Robinson. I was super heavy Robinson early on. And then like Levitan tweeted something that I thought was negative about Gibson, and he tied it up with like a positive thing. And I'm like, damn it, maybe I should be drafting more Gibson. And then like lately I've just been kind of just skipping it altogether. And like, I don't know. I think end of the day, gun to my head, I think I want Robinson over Gibson. But I don't know. It just seems like there's a lot of guys that can fit that like Gibson role, like the Curtis Samuel, the like even like I don't know, Dawson. I feel like is a little bit of that like, and then they got Diami Brown like sneaking around on these like some of the like end around shit, or like some of the random stuff that the Chiefs used to do, like that Bieniemy will probably like to do. I feel like is just gonna cut into a little bit of that Gibson role.
Yeah, I'm excited about both. I actually want to boost my Brian Robinson stuff. Both him and Antonio Gibson played similar amount of snaps with the first team, and they were both running routes, which is kind of cool. You know, I think Brian Robinson, I pigeonhole a little too much as maybe not a pass catcher. He had 8 routes. Gibson had 7. I like both of them at cost. And if we didn't have the A-Chain pick there in the correlation just made too much sense, I would have been like, hey, let's just scoop up this Gibson slide. Otherwise, we're about to pick at 11-10. Actually, some wide receivers kicking around here. Lazard, Zay Jones, Jacoby Myers, Darnell Mooney. What do you think?
I actually was gonna like a Rodgers pick there and just load him up late, but man, who was at the top here again?
Zay.
I don't hate that. I think Zay is the best grade of these guys left, so it just kind of is a random one. Doesn't really do much for us, I don't think, from a correlation standpoint.
Yeah, there's multiple Carolina pieces we can do late. This was definitely a flat area of the board. I mean, if we're thinking through kind of our quarterback stuff down the road too, you know, we could still do something with Jimmy G. You got Pickett, we got Kyler, so we got options there. Running back really got wiped out, I think, is kind of what happened there. That kind of took us off guard.
And I'm okay with the running back getting wiped out there, because I think we want to wait until like the Jeff Wilson, like Gus Edwards, like Tajay Spears, that kind of group again. That's usually what I've been doing, is like I try to kind of wait out this like 11 through 14 round, which is just not grading out well for running backs. And yeah, I mean, this is just like, I think I did a tweet where it's like all my favorite players in every round, and I think I just said trade the pick in round 11 because I just don't like anybody.
Well, we got to do it again here too. You know, probably it sounds like Greg Dulcich drops are coming in ADP, but that's fine. We could like onslaught the Cardinals. If we did want a running back, there's
Let's throw Van Jefferson in there. You see, you don't have a lot of them, and he's somebody that I like quite a bit.
Talk to me about Van. Definitely a guy I don't click a ton. When I had Hilo on from 1 week season, he fit the kind of archetype that he was drafting a lot. I think I've struggled with Van a little bit because I actually think I kind of like Tutu really late for kind of the similar type of production. But talk to me about Van Jefferson, and we'll tell Ben Gretsch to do some earmuffs.
I think he's just I mean, again, I'm not like a huge player takey guy, but I think he's just got a good he opens up like the Rams stuff late, and the Rams late is like super easy with Giants late too. And so like when I get in a draft like this where our second quarterback is looking a little bit flimsy, like grabbing Jefferson and then Stafford, you know, and then bringing it back with the Giants late is like super easy. Jefferson or even you know, Higbee, and like I don't know, Van Jefferson just grades well in the score thing too, which is just a little bit of a cherry on top. And I think like I get your Tutu. I think it's like Tutu versus Puka, right? Is like is the debate. I think Van's just going to be the wide receiver too, and I mean the Rams are just going to suck this year, right? So they're just going to be throwing it a bunch, and I'm not saying he's the greatest wide receiver of all time, but he's just going to get some chuck balls, I think.
Yeah, and I think the thing too, it's like Van definitely falls into that bucket for me where, you know, I prefer him in a correlated fashion, but because he goes before his quarterback, a lot of times I'm not thinking about him. Where it's funny how psychologically, if Stafford had an ADP a little earlier, and you know, I'm just an ADP bro drafting off that, then I end up with probably way more Van Jefferson. He also you know, fits well with super late Giant stuff too, right? If you kind of want to play like, who are the two guys that speed up a game, grab a Van Jefferson with a Jalen Hyatt kind of pairing makes a lot of intuitive sense to me.
Yeah, I think so. And I think, man, Hyatt's been screaming up too after like, I don't know, 2 running videos at camp or something. But he was a guy I was like, I was hammering Hyatt and Josh Downs because like, again, when you look at all the rookies, like all the rookies are priced up this year. And actually I had an interesting take. I'd be curious to hear your thoughts on this. I think the rookies were steamed up because of all of the emphasis on like the big board and like how many people were drafting some of those pre-draft things where like the only fun thing to think about was the rookies. And so then I think when the rookies got drafted and some of these contests opened up for the regular season, everybody was just in rookie like mode. And so they were like, oh, he ended up here, boom, whatever, great fit, yada, yada. And I think that had a little bit to do with like how a lot of the rookies were steamed up at first. And since then, I think there's been some correction down, but I think that like freaking April, May window of everybody hammering drafts like really affected rookie ADP.
Yeah. And I mean, they just, especially in the underdog streets where drafters do tend to prioritize these younger guys, the breakouts, like anytime you're able to get those profiles at a relative discount to their collective archetype cohort, like I want to do that. And it's why we can laugh about Tyquan Thornton or whatever, but like that's why I was taking a lot of Alec Pierce and Tyquan Thornton. It's hard to get second-year wide receivers who flashed a little bit in year one cheaply on Underdog. It's hard to get these rookies.
Oh, yeah.
We used to get Garrett Wilson in the 12th. You can't get that anymore. So guys like Josh Downs, Marvin Mims, you know, these rookies that people are forgetting, even Jaden Reed, it's like, yes, are they the sexiest version of that cohort? No, but there are still a lot of reasons to like them at arbitrage prices.
Yeah. Is Stafford still on the board here, right?
He is at 161 here.
I guess we could wait, maybe.
I was just going to see the drafters behind us don't have any Rams. I think we could wait. Chig falls here a little bit. Kendre just got the report. It's just going to be 1 to 2 weeks with his sprain. Who do you like?
I actually like Alec Pierce. Oh, shoot. Did we just? No worries.
I was trying to get to him as quick as I could, and then I got back on my Kendre bullshit.
That works well. No, I like Kendre, and he grades well too. So if it's only a couple weeks, that's good. So I think Stafford here is who we should take. Because a lot of the other QBs were gone. Pierce was a nice little correlation with Raiders, but I think Downs does the same thing, and we can get him late.
I think you're right to take Stafford because, you know, part of me wanted to push Pickett, but at 178, there's a pretty good chance he doesn't come back.
Yeah, I don't think he'll be back.
And then I don't really know.
Jimmy G, yeah.
Yeah. Have you drafted Jimmy G a lot with, I assume, your heavy Davante Adams bags?
I just haven't really. I mean, I don't know. It's kind of like the James Conner take. It's like, is he going to be the guy you need in week 17? So maybe I should start thinking through that a little bit more. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't really think Jimmy G is the guy, and I think there's some other flyers that I would rather take late. I just think quarterback is super interesting this year, and I've done some research on it, and like just trying to figure out like the different tiers within quarterbacks and stuff. And I think like there's a pretty significant fall off after that, like this right here, basically. Like Love, Stafford, I guess Pickett and Love actually went pretty early here. So I was thrown off there.
He did, yeah.
But like Murray, Stafford, Love, Pickett, Purdy is like I take a lot of that group, and that's like that's when I want my QB2, because I think those guys have potential to at least, you know, like you don't always need to have like the best score from every position, right? But you need to have like a score that's within a couple points, right? And so I think those guys are the ones that I look at that like could be up near the top. And that's like the same thing you think through in like the weekly stuff too, is like, I mean, maybe this year there's probably a lot bigger contest. So you're probably going to need the nuts more often, but like you don't need the absolute highest scoring QB and tight end, but you got to be within a couple points of them to give yourself a shot with everybody else you took. And so I think the ceiling there really falls off after those guys at QB.
Yeah, no, I think that's fair. And then I think the question we're going to have is, you know, is Stafford a guy we want to double stack? Obviously, you know, Higbee and Cooper Kupp are long gone. There is some stuff we could do maybe with the backup running back.
Kyren Williams has been getting some hype.
Yeah. So I did want to just hit on this one because I obviously draft Kendre a lot. 10 minutes says, I drafted a lot of Kendre Miller early with the shorter Kamara suspension mixed with the injury. He won't be getting many reps this year without a Kamara injury. So the thing that is definitely the thesis, and one of the things that was fun about Kendre Miller is that you could get the fast start while also getting some late season breakout potential. That part is looking thinner, kind of how I was talking about it with LaPorta earlier. I think you get the fast start with LaPorta and then him really coming into his own down the stretch as well. So I do completely concede that. But when we're looking at the type of running backs that go in this range, you can have contingent bets be smash picks. This is even later than where Alexander Madison used to go. And he was purely a contingent upside play. Yeah. He gave you those 2 to 3 spike weeks when Dalvin Cook missed. He is smashing that price tag. So I think it's completely overreactionary to take a guy like Kendre Miller off your board. When we draft these rookie running backs who come from this range, we are hoping for that late season production, which he could just win the backfield on talent alone by then, or just the contingent upside if there's an injury. So to me, he remains a good bet in this range. But yes, I will fully concede the fast start element is probably no longer on the table. And that's where he would have just smashed his ADP, right? Like if he was getting a few starters games at the beginning of the season, then he's entirely mispriced. But he's completely fairly priced still in this range.
Yeah, I think we got another pick coming up here. So we could, what's your take on Gus with Lamar versus like maybe Tajay or maybe Knox?
Yeah, I'm getting a little spooked on Gus. The team seems to really like Justice Hill a bit too.
Oh shoot, I have not seen that.
Yeah, Gus Edwards. I can pull up some stuff on that. I do really like Tajay Spears.
Let's go Tajay. He's a good balance to our James Cotter and have enough as an option of a guy you could need in week 17.
Yeah, exactly. I'm trying to see if I could find the stuff. Oh, so Hayden had this tweet. The Ravens running back depth chart is TBD. No Dobbins yet. Justice Hill started and had a big run over Gus Edwards, who's making $3.5 million in preseason week 1. Then deep sleeper rookie Keaton Mitchell lit it up with the backups and Melvin Gordon also around. Very surprised Gus didn't start. So I don't know. I don't want to react to that too much, but it is kind of interesting that if the whole thing about drafting these guys here is we want to feel good about where they are on the depth chart versus like burning a roster spot this early. I'm still not entirely.
Gotta go Knox here.
I like Knox.
He's just like, this is a great example of another preseason one that I think people are not understanding. It's like I saw somebody tweet out that like when did Allen play, or was it just, did they do the starters without Allen or something? I don't know. There was 7 or 8 snaps.
Allen played.
Right? Yeah. There was like eight or 9 plays or something with Allen, and the guy was calling it like 11.5 formation because it was like they're not even considering Kincaid like a tight end, and so it's like that's like such a smash for Knox. Like, I don't know, he's gonna be in as the tight end like all the time, and Kincaid is gonna mix in as like the slot guy. He's not gonna be like the blocking tight end. Like, it just doesn't make sense to me. Knox has not made sense to me this whole year.
You're right too, because you think about the reason Kincaid is going so much ahead of LaPorta, right, is because of the offense. People are more excited about the Bills and Josh Allen than they are about the Lions and that. When you look at how the market prices wide receivers on elite teams, like look at the Gabe Davis thing last year, right? Like we wanted access to the Bills offense and we were ready to do it in any way possible. And we do this with offenses across the board. Why are Rashaad Bateman and Zay Flowers both going that high? And Odell Beckham, we want access to this offense. But for some reason, people have a hang up with the tight end where they're like, only one can succeed and the other cannot. And they think of it like a handcuff situation as opposed to like, could both of these guys be on the field? Could both of them be good picks because they're in a high-powered offense? And I'm not advocating to take both of these guys together, but it is just funny how the Bills premium of wanting pieces on the Bills just goes out the window once we start talking about Dawson Knox.
Well, and you got to think too, like you think through the context of like where tight ends are this late, right? Like people are all about taking the 3 tight ends late or whatever. And so when you're in the 16, 17, 18, the thesis of that is like, so like one of the things I've been doing is like, if I take a Kelsey early or like one of the studs early, then I'll take him with like Mike Gesicki late, because I think Gesicki has the potential to like maybe put up a spike week that could outpace a Kelsey score versus like a Hunter Henry, right? Who's probably going to be really consistent and like maybe have a decent week. But if you have like, you know, a Knox, a Hunter Henry, and like a third guy, Luke Musgrave or whatever, like you're just hoping like one of those guys hits 12 or 15 points every week. And you just kind of piece it together. And so like Knox in the 16th, it's like all you need is like just like relative to the other tight ends there, you just need like a week where he catches 2 touchdowns and he's just like a great value.
For sure. So we got 2 more picks left. We're at a 2-5-7-2 build. We're good at quarterback, Lamar Jackson, Matthew Stafford. Running back, I think you could argue we could get a 6. Josh Jacobs, James Conner, A-Chain, Kendre Miller, Tajay Spears, 3 rookies there. Wide receivers looking pretty good. CeeDee Lamb, Davante Adams, Deontay Johnson, Marquise Brown, the double Zay, Flowers, and Jones, Van Jefferson. Tight end, Njoku, Knox. Seems like it's running back and then a wide receiver or a tight end for that last pick. Do you agree?
Yeah, I think what do we have for running back and running back available? Yeah, this is kind of the gross spot where I'd prefer to just take like Kyron Williams in the 18th. instead of these guys. I don't know if you have a strong stance on any of these guys.
So the only guy that's interesting to me is Ty Chandler, who
True.
I'm kind of surprised he hasn't pushed up. I think who was in the chat earlier, someone was talking about Ty Chandler not moving up is interesting. Granted, we don't have any correlation stuff with it. And I'm also open to the Kyron. It's probably like Tutu and Ty Chandler, or we go like Kyron and something else. Do you have like
what about is Slayton available?
No. Hang on.
Okay, so yeah, just take Chandler.
If you go quick, I'm putting Chandler in.
Yeah, that's
Are
fine.
You on the Puka? Are you doing the Puka stuff?
I mean, I thought the Puka was just going to be like a joke. Like there's going to be Puka Shells merch, and it was going to kind of be a bit. But he's like, I've heard like a little. There's like a drum beat enough for him now, and apparently now it's like Cooper Kupp is like banging the table for him, and he's like the same wide receiver coach at college or some shit. And I'm like, God damn it, is this Puka going to be a thing? But I think it's great. It's great on this team.
I was going to say, I have 0% Puka. I've been team Tutu, but if I'm ever going to do it, this is probably my time right here.
I think this is it.
Puka. Man, if I get buried by Puka this year, at least we'll have this one team to help us here. I like how this team shook out. We're not going to end up with any Giants bring back, but that was because, like you said, Slayton went pretty early.
Yeah. I'm just, dude, what I see your Wandale bags there. I'm so scared about Wandale now. I have a ton of them, and now everybody's like, hey, he might not even play. I'm like,
I know. Yep. So John, you just keep drafting, and that number just keeps going down.
That's right.
We did get sniped on Puka, which is hilarious.
Oh no.
This means that do I get to force you into taking Tutu?
Or Josh Downs and a little
or Downs.
Raiders.
Yeah, we had talked about him. I don't have a ton of him. And we got too big. Like we need a 35-point burger in week 17 from one of Jacobs or Adams at least.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Let's do Downs. So we grab Downs. We wrap up this team 2-6-8-2. Lamar Jackson and Matthew Stafford. Running backs Josh Jacobs, James Conner, Devon Achane, Kendre Miller, Tajay Spears, Ty Chandler. Wide receiver CeeDee Lamb, Davante Adams, Deontay Johnson, Marquise Brown, Zay Flowers, Zay Jones, Van Jefferson, Josh Downs, and tight ends David Njoku and Dawson Knox. Structurally, I think we're in good shape here. We have a balanced range of like boring players and sexy guys. You gotta, if you're gonna, get your sugar and your treats, you gotta balance it out with your Matthew Stafford and James Conner veggies. Is how I'd like to think about it.
Yeah, we're dialed in on the buckets. We got wide receiver 1 bucket. We've got low running back bucket. I think that's all stuff I look at, and I love it.
Yeah. This is part of the draft caddy as well, the draftcaddy.com. You can see these draft capital buckets, which show you the draft capital targets based on last year's data. So not the end all be all, but gives you a very good gauge on how you have allocated your positions here. Who are your most drafted guys, John, through BBM so far?
So I'm heavy on Richardson, and I've just been pushing him hard lately, trying to get him everywhere. I'm really heavy on Kittle and Waller. Because like Kittle just in the 6th and sometimes the 7th out just is weird. And then I've got a ton of Deebo Samuel and Mike Williams in like the 3rd, 4th there. I take them a lot. And then a lot of and then in the early rounds, a lot of Kupp and Adams. I had Kupp number 3 like pretty much until he got injured, and then I still even sometimes take him at 3 now. So those are my guys.
Love it. Love it. Like I said, guys, immediately following this, the ADP chasing boys will be live going through all the preseason stuff from an ADP perspective, helping you guys anticipate those movements. John, let the people know. Obviously, I'm including the link to the spreadsheet in the show notes. It's also pinned in the Badge Bros Discord and the Deposit Kingdom Discord, right?
Yeah, they have it pinned there. I think I may have it pinned on Twitter too. I want to just shout I do a contest comparison tool. I know you touched on it at the beginning too, but over the next few weeks, I think Underdog's going to be firing off contests. Probably might see a few more DraftKings ones too. So I have a tool that kind of compares all the contests. When a new one comes out, I give it a little bit of a score and try to talk through some context for which ones are the best to kind of put your bankroll into. So I'll be firing that off on Twitter as well, and that tool's up there too.
Awesome. Charles, yeah, I hit on this at the top of the show here. If we head over to my single bullet here, the Tinger, we did slide down from first to second, but we did hold on to advance here. Single bullet. Are you in the baseball streets at all, John?
Oh man, I'm the kind of guy who like just if I got into it, I would get way too into it and it would just be bad. So
yeah. So, you know, a lot of the haters and losers said that I could not succeed with just one single bullet, but little did they know I was drafting with the Badge Bros, and that's what we did. But yeah, as we put a recap on this team, any other final thoughts here on my 120th draft? We hit some of the draft capital stuff here. The final team: Lamar Jackson, Matthew Stafford, Josh Jacobs, James Conner, Devon Achane, Kendre Miller, Tajay Spears, Ty Chandler. Wide receivers: CeeDee Lamb, Davante Adams, Deontay Johnson, Marquise Brown, Double Zay, Flowers and Jones, Van Jefferson, Josh Downs, tight end Njoku, and Knox. What's the final review here?
I like it. I think the biggest thing I've learned from using this tool for the last week or so is you want the draft to end with like a couple picks you're stoked about, and then a couple picks you're like, oh god, I just don't know if I like that guy really at all, and just let the numbers do the talking for you. So yeah, I think this is a winner. This hits that balance nicely.
There you go. I did tag this one, John. We can I'll Venmo you 1.5 million after we take this one down, because look, a lot of people would be like, you'd really Venmo John 1.5? I mean, it'd probably be a bank transfer, but if this team wins, I promise you I was not selecting James Conner on my own. So that's how you know that I needed the John Boy special sauce to take it down. John, appreciate you hanging out. I mentioned the Badge Bros Discord, the Deposit Kingdom Discord. So much good conversation going in there. There's a general NFL best ball channel. There's the Badge Bros channels that has sub threads for all the various sports. We got the Best Ball Breakfast channel for you who are YouTube members. You can unlock that one. We're going to be getting some DFS stuff rolling soon in the Hand Builders and Opto Bros channel. So if you're not in the Deposit Kingdom Discord, get in there. All kinds of good stuff, including all those charts that John was referencing. Appreciate John hanging out with me today. Thank you guys for feeding the ducks, listening to the coffee pours. Like I said, we're on our way to 15K subs. If you're watching, let's get us there. We're so close. We'll do that giveaway, giving out $500 to 3 lucky winners when we hit 15K. Hit that like button on your way out. Appreciate all of you in the chat bringing the heat today. For John Boy, I'm Pete. We'll see you guys next time on